This place in Dhaka has a unique connection to Islamabad. If you live in Islamabad, you probably often drive on Sohrawardi Road, Nazmuddin Road and Fazlul Haq Road. These names are part of our everyday lives, but have you ever stopped to ask who these people are? That's exactly what we're about to find out today, standing here outside the Teen Netar Mazar in Dhaka, where some very important leaders of the Pakistan movement are laid to rest. On today's episode of Dossier, let's learn how the people of Bengal united with what became the rest of Pakistan for a shared struggle for independence.
आखिरकार 14 अगस्त सन 1947 को मुसलमान अपनी जिद्दोजहद और कुर्बानियों का समरा हासिल कर लेते हैं।
Let's start with Hussain Shahid Sohrawardi, one of the most pivotal yet often overlooked leaders of the Pakistan movement. In 1946, as Prime Minister of Bengal, the most populous Muslim-majority province, he provided critical political backing at a decisive moment. Without Bengal's support, the demand for Pakistan would not have had the same demographic weight. Even Jinnah acknowledged how essential Bengal was to the creation of Pakistan. After partition, Sohrawardi continued serving Pakistan. He supported minority rights and even toured with Mahatma Gandhi during the Great Calcutta riots to help reduce communal violence, which was an effort aimed at preventing further bloodshed during an incredibly volatile time. Despite political changes, he maintained faith in parliamentary democracy. He helped form the Awami Muslim League, first major opposition party. From 1955 to 1956, he served as leader of the opposition in the National Assembly. He played a significant role in shaping the 1956 Constitution and later became Prime Minister of Pakistan. Today, he rests here in Dhaka beside another giant of history. That brings us to A.K. Fazlul Haq, also known as Sher-e-Bangla. On March 23, 1940, it was he who presented the Lahore Resolution, the document that formally articulated the Muslim League's demand for a homeland. As he entered the hall to present the resolution, Jinnah reportedly remarked, "When the tiger arrives, the lamb must give way." It was a powerful acknowledgement of his stature and Bengal's political importance. Without the Lahore Resolution, there would have been no constitutional basis for Pakistan's creation. After independence, Fazlul Haq served as Advocate General of East Pakistan from 1947 to 1952. As political debates intensified, he emerged as a key leader representing the Bengali aspirations. The Bengalis were the demographic majority of Pakistan. In 1954, alongside Sohrawardi and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he formed the United Front, which won a landslide victory in East Pakistan. He became governor of East Pakistan in 1956, but the 1958 coup transformed Pakistan's political system. Like many leaders of that era across different regions, he found himself marginalized during a period of centralization and political upheaval. His advocacy for provincial autonomy reflected broader debates about how a diverse federation should function, debates that shaped the country's early political years. And then there is Khwaja Nazmuddin. Some of you in Islamabad probably drive on Nazmuddin Road every day. But before independence, he was the Prime Minister of Bengal during the critical years leading up to 1947. After Jinnah's death, Nazmuddin became Pakistan's second Governor General. He later became Prime Minister of Pakistan during one of its most fragile periods. But his tenure was marked by constitutional crises and political instability. He was abruptly dismissed by Governor General Ghulam Muhammad, which was a watershed moment in Pakistan's political history. That dismissal set a precedent for unelected officials to remove elected governments, shaping the country's constitutional evolution for decades. It is often noted that after his dismissal, he did not even have a personal residence to return to. After the dissolution of the First Constituent Assembly in 1954, Nazmuddin moved back to Dhaka and lived quietly in retirement. But in 1962, he made a political comeback. He became the president of the Council Muslim League, the faction opposing Ayub Khan's Convention Muslim League. He was received warmly across Pakistan and worked tirelessly to build an electoral alliance through the combined opposition parties with Fatma Jinnah. He remained committed to constitutionalism and democratic processes until the very end. Then he died of a sudden heart attack just before a critical election, once again during a pivotal political moment. Standing here in Dhaka, what becomes clear is that Bengal was not peripheral to Pakistan's creation. It was foundational. In 1947, the majority of Pakistan's population lived in East Bengal. The Pakistan movement was not carried by one city or one province alone. It was the result of political mobilization across regions, and Bengali leaders were indispensable to that story. But before separation, there was a shared beginning. Shared leadership, shared political struggle, and shared hope. And today, as ties between Pakistan and Bangladesh slowly improve and conversations reopen, perhaps remembering this shared foundation matters. In Islamabad, their names guide our traffic, but here in Dhaka, they rest side by side. And maybe that reminds us that history, even when divided by borders, still shares the same roots. And perhaps this is just the beginning of revisiting the stories behind the roads that we drive on and rediscovering the connections that once shaped us together. This is Aisha Mir signing off from Dhaka.